Bauer Media Group are Europe's leading and largest publishing group. The group is worldwide and privately owned, and majorly successful with over 300 magazines in more than 15 countries. These magazines are not just paper, but also cross platforms such as digital, radio and television. This connection of audiences through multi-platforms allows for their funding and success over companies. Bauer have had connections with magazines and companies such as Empire, MCN Sport and Land Rover International. However, in linking with music, they have been linked with Kerrang and Q magazines. In addition, their music connections are more popular on the radio and digital side. Such stations include Absolute Radio and Kiss. I believe this is due to people listening to the radio in the car from work. Due to this mass amount of platforms and types, the age range from 18 to 55 of both genders are covered. These might not be all music, but this helps to give a good name to their business. Talking about their audience, for Q, they have had a total of 377,000 people who watch, listen and read their magazines, with 68.3% of these people being male and 31.7% of them being female. In addition to this vastly male audience, they also have shown an evenly based target audience with Kerrang. Kerrang have a mass audience total of 345,000, with 54.7% of them being male and 45.3% of them are females. Prometheus tries to engage its wide audience, much like Bauer, with music, media and entertainment. Again, they are a leading business and media publisher with more than 1.5 million visitors every single month. In addition to their 5 million monthly page views, with 30,000 of these being paid members. This shows that their online media is vastly more popular to their printed media, with 60,000 people reading their magazines. The reasoning behind this bigger audience online is due to the magazines having an online bonus voucher, which allows people to get a free online membership. Prometheus are based in New York and have successfully been able to get their media into 82 other countries. This popularity is shown in who they work for. People such as Billboard use Prometheus to gain their mass audiences too. Due to Billboard being one of the biggest, most popular music magazines, with my audience, I think I should also use Prometheus Global Media as my publisher, as they will obviously know how to reach my audience. As I did GCSE photography, I already had a prior knowledge of SLR cameras and editing programs such as Photoshop, which meant I was not really learning many new skills this year, but developing and refining them instead. Regarding editing my images in Photoshop, I found some things like remembering how to use a lasso, eraser, resize and adjustment tools very easy. However, some skills such as refining the edge of my selection allowed for a more seamless edit, and therefore a more professional vibe were more difficult to perfect and get right. I also found using InDesign and the creation of text more difficult, as this was not something I had done in photography last year. Although Photoshop is very good at perfecting certain things, something I really learned this year is that you should not need to do too much in Photoshop if you have taken the right professional images in the first place. For this reason, I have worked really hard to get my shot planning, mise-en-scene and photography right during my shoots. For example, in the studio I've used a variety of skills with lights and backgrounds to make sure minimal editing in Photoshop would be needed to make the final images look magazine ready. One of the main things I learned was that you should use the right coloured background for the product to minimise the need to cut out the model and change the background, as this is very time consuming and does not always get the best results. In addition to production and post-production skills, I also have learned a bit about Blogger. I was using it to present my planning, final products and evaluation to my target audience. I had never used this online program before, or even one like it, which meant it was very interesting to learn about this new form of digital technology. Through my media lessons, I've learned the basics like how to change layouts, add images, add text, embed videos. Also, I spent time in my free lessons and at home learning more complicated features, like how to make adjustments to the backgrounds behind the text and how to adjust the opacity of the backgrounds. These little things allowed me to improve my blog and make it mine, and not a preset that everyone could choose. Finally, I learned how to add music playlists to the blog. I thought this worked well, as with my blog the playlist I made connoted the genre of product I was working on for my portfolio. Another new program I had learned about is SurveyMonkey. This program was brilliant for my primary research, as it allowed me to create and distribute surveys about my work to my audience to get their feedback instantly. What I also liked about the programme was how it processed the information and created easy to read charts and graphs containing all the relevant information I needed to inform my creative choices. Overall, I think developing my knowledges of digital technology for planning, production and post-production taught me that the gauntlet theory that modern technology is blurring the lines between producers and consumers is definitely true, as I was able to consume, produce and distribute media easily thanks to reasonable price technology and digital convergence. Looking back at the preliminary work, I can definitely see that I've developed my skills in all areas because my layouts, colour choices, photography, typography and Lexis look so much better on my final products. I think making my college magazine cover and contents was an important step in my learning curve, as it showed me where my skills were at the beginning and helped me see where I needed to improve if I wanted to succeed at AS. I think little things like learning how to properly research existing conventions was one of the main things that helped me my design skills improve. The first thing I made on my pop cover was my masthead, and after making mistakes in my preliminary, I really took a lot of time over this by making possible mastheads, then comparing these to the existing ones that worked on real magazines. This process worked for me as it kept me motivated, as I could see how I was improving and where I still needed to improve. And this kept me from scrapping any ideas that I used to do in the past when I did not like something. Before I went with my final masthead design, I also asked my audience which design they preferred, something I did not do for the preliminary. And I think getting audience feedback also helped my creative choices improve. I repeated this process with every aspect of my media language on my products, and even though it took me a lot longer to complete each piece of work, it definitely resulted in much more professional products, and I can actually say I am proud of. So the key thing I have learned from the progression from my preliminary to my main task you need to research existing conventions thoroughly, take a long time getting your ideas right while developing your skills, and that it is important to ask the audience what they want. I will always remember these things when making any media product in the future.